Hi everyone. Welcome to the Whispers of Turkish Stars channel. All the details are in our video. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and share this video before we dive in. Thank you so much for being here. Today, the entertainment world woke up to a story that set social media on fire and sent shockwaves through the industry. According to widespread chatter online and whispers from set insiders, Gökberk Demirci, upset by reports circulating on social platforms and in the press, arrived unannounced to the studio where Özge Yagai's new series is being filmed. What happened next turned an ordinary morning shoot into the most talked about moment of the day. It was early, the cameras were already rolling, and the crew was moving briskly between lights and marks when it happened. People on set say the moment the studio doors opened, the energy in the room shifted. They claim Gökberk walked in with a firm stride, voice raised enough to cut through the clatter of production. Crew members froze, actors exchanged worried glances, and within seconds, security stepped forward to guide the situation into calmer waters. Those nearby insist he wasn't violent, but he was clearly agitated, as if the bundle of rumors swirling around Özge had finally become too loud to ignore. No one can agree on the trigger. Some think the spark was a storyline development in Özge's series that had been twisted by the comments sections and tabloids. Others suggest a particular headline interpreted their past and present in a way that felt deeply unfair. Whatever the route, the timing was impossible to miss. Özge was inside her dressing room when the commotion began, and word of raised voices reached her before she stepped out. She tried to keep a level head, sources say, speaking softly to the team while security did their job and the production heads paused the shoot. It didn't take long for short clips, grainy, shaky, recorded from behind equipment cases, to appear online. Within minutes, millions had watched the same few seconds from different angles, the door opening, a tense exchange of words, and crew members signaling for quiet as production paused. Fans reacted with concern for both of them, while some commentators urged patience, asking people to wait for official clarifications. In the background of it all, the pressure mounted. Would this spill over into professional fallout? Would a loved star's reputation take a hit? Industry watchers began to murmur about optics, contracts, and brand sensitivities, even as others pleaded for compassion and context. Özge Yagai's team issued a brief, measured note to the press not long after. Her safety was protected, the environment was secure, and filming would resume shortly. That reassurance calmed some nerves on set, but the undercurrent of tension remained. People described a quiet that felt charged, like the pause between storm clouds and rain. The incident, fueled by circulating clips, quickly dominated timelines and was soon the #1 topic across fan pages and entertainment feeds. As the dust settled, the reasons behind the visit remained unclear, and that ambiguity fueled even more speculation. Industry insiders claimed they were monitoring developments closely. Those who work in production emphasized that until an official explanation arrives, everything else is hearsay. Still, the rumor mill churned. Some said Gökberk had been frustrated for days by misinterpretations about Özge's screen partnership in the new series. Others insisted it was a misunderstanding tied to scheduling and narrative changes, not personal turmoil. There was also talk of compounded stress, too many provocations over too many days, finally boiling over. Without direct statements, each theory found its own echo chamber. Then came the accounts from the crew. One assistant, still visibly rattled in a short post, wrote that the door opened suddenly and a familiar figure, clearly upset, called out in a raised tone. "We were all stunned," the message read. Nobody moved for a moment. It felt like the seconds stretched out. Security came quickly and tried to calm everything down. Another crew member remembered Özge stepping back to give space, speaking softly and motioning for calm. It was intense, they said, not chaotic exactly, but heavy. The filming just stopped. The production immediately organized an internal meeting. The conversation, according to people briefed on it, focused on how to support everyone involved and how to reinforce boundaries on a set that had just been thrust under a spotlight. The studio already had cameras in place and professional security nearby, so there was documentation of the moment from multiple angles. After a brief stoppage, they attempted to reset the mood. People took breaks, checked in with one another, and, only when everyone felt stable again, the cameras began to roll. Meanwhile, what many called the why of it all became the day's main narrative. If it was personal, it was a private personal tied, some argued, to the kind of rumor storm that spirals unfairly around public figures. If it was professional, it may have been an impulsive reaction to details on set that had been exaggerated or misunderstood. Without direct confirmation, the boundaries between fact and theory blurred, and the void filled with interpretations. Across social networks, the debates flared. Some voices said plainly, raised voices on a working set create pressure for everyone and shouldn't happen. Others countered, there's always more off camera than we see, context matters. Influencers and entertainment commentators stitched together timelines, overlaid them with past interviews and public appearances, and tried to map patterns that might explain the morning's emotion. Fans of both stars urged compassion, reminding everyone how intense scrutiny can be for people who live their lives in front of lenses. When Özge finally spoke, she kept it short. Calm, poised, and professional, this was the Özge the public knows. Everything is under control, she said in a brief note. Our set is safe, and we're continuing our work. Still, those who watched closely claimed her eyes betrayed the weight of the morning, a quiet proof of just how human these headlines really are. It was clear the incident touched her deeply, even as she moved forward with grace. From that point, the story widened beyond two people and one set. Industry insiders hinted at conversations about how to manage access, how to handle unexpected visits, and how to establish buffers when emotions run high. Some suggested a network-level review of protocols might follow, not as punishment, but to reinforce best practices in an environment where any moment can explode into virality. Others reminded everyone that long days and relentless attention can stretch even the strongest nerves. The clips didn't stop. New angles appeared, a rapid pan that catches the doorway, a distant shot that captures the hush after the raised voice, a murmured exchange that's too fuzzy to parse. Viewers dissected each frame as though it were a scene in the series itself, looking for clues about tone, meaning, and intent. Comments flowed beneath. "We're surprised by this tension," wrote some, while others aimed criticism squarely at the behavior, insisting public figures need to resist the bait of rumors. Behind the scenes, the team tried to knit the day back together. A member of the technical unit reflected later that the shock lingered long after the room quieted. "The feeling stayed in our shoulders, in our breath," they remembered. "Everyone, actors, camera, sound, felt it. You don't expect a morning like that." Still, a few cast members reportedly formed a small circle in a corner of the studio, whispering reassurances and trading gentle humor to soften the atmosphere. Across it all, Özge stood steadily at the center, focused on moving forward without dismissing anyone's feelings. Then, as these stories often do, the theories multiplied. One line of speculation suggested the trigger was a fresh article about Özge that veered into unkind territory. Another insisted it had more to do with creative decisions in the show, who might be spotlighted in which episode, how scenes would pair characters, how publicity would be balanced. A third thread claimed Gökberk had been carrying frustration for days, trying to ignore it until something small pushed it too far. There were also voices saying the media's spin had turned molehills into mountains, transforming ordinary anxieties into headlines. The production's response was practical. Access to the set tightened. Checkpoints between the lot and the soundstage became more structured. The number of private security professionals increased, not to cast blame, but to prevent any further surprises and to reassure the crew that the workspace would remain calm. Producers said they were prepared to offer emotional support to anyone who needed it. After all, fatigue and tension can echo through a team long after the incident itself. Commentators kept weighing in. Some repeated the line that the behavior, no matter the trigger, could complicate careers if not handled thoughtfully and openly. Others argued that empathy should lead, that those who perform under pressure deserve understanding when the pressure shows. Across platforms, people asked the same questions in different words. Does one morning define a person? Or does this become a lesson in boundaries, communication, and trust? For everyone involved and for an industry constantly staring into the public eye? By late afternoon, the studio lights softened. The day's schedule had been rejigged, and the crew found a new rhythm. The camera followed Özge with a particular tenderness, perhaps because she had just weathered a storm without letting it erase her composure. The set slowly became itself again, tape marks on the floor, director's notes underlined in pencil, makeup brushes tapping color back into cheeks. Life returned to a kind of normal, the way it always does after a jolt, even if the memory hums in the background. A few people close to the situation hinted that any further statements would be deliberate, crafted with care, and mindful of privacy. Whether Gökberk would address the morning directly remained an open question. Some suggested he might choose a heartfelt message to clarify his intentions and acknowledge the impact his presence had on a working set. Others believed silence might serve better, allowing the work to speak and the noise to fade. Either way, the next steps would be scrutinized. Across the fan base, there was a shared plea: let kindness win. Those who have followed both stars for years know the chapters they've walked through, on screen and off, and believe that one difficult morning doesn't rewrite an entire story. They flooded comment sections with support, not only for Özge's safety and serenity, but also for the hope that understanding can grow in the space after mistakes. As evening fell, one final piece of context traveled with the last posts of the day. Those involved in the production emphasized that the team's priority was to shelter the set's calm so storytelling could continue. In their view, this was not a scandal to inflame, but a situation to learn from. A reminder that boundaries are not just lines on a map, but promises that keep people feeling safe enough to create. And somewhere in the middle of that truth stood two very public individuals, each with a real, private heartbeat, negotiating the distance between rumor and reality. By night, the online frenzy still hadn't cooled. New reactions kept pouring in, some disappointed, some protective, many simply stunned. But even among the loudest takes, a quieter thread persistently rose. That grief and pride in love and pressure are messy, and that everyone deserves the chance to do better after being seen at a low point. Through it all, Özge remained at work, and the set remained steady, holding fast to schedule and story. Now, as we wait for official words, one thing is clear: this day will linger in memory, not just because it sparked so much conversation, but because it revealed how deeply people care about these two. Whether a thoughtful explanation arrives tomorrow or the next day, the lesson is already written across every comment and clip. Moments pass, but how we treat each other in those moments defines what stays. We'll continue to follow this carefully and responsibly, bringing you confirmed updates as they come. Until then, let's wish peace to the set, clarity to those at the center of the story, and empathy to everyone watching from afar. This is where we wrap for now. If you enjoyed our video, please subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars and share it with friends who follow Turkish drama and celebrity news. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.